We are one day away from Stephen Strasburg being forced to return to spring training, but the big question is, will he show up? I don't know.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can catch us over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, just make sure to check us out over on Twitter. While you're at it, make sure to look up Locked On Nationals over on YouTube. Hit that subscriber button and even leave a comment and a like on any video. And of course, this one as well, if you would like. No big deal if you do not want to. Later on in the show, we're going to get into some thoracic outlet surgery stuff with Cole Henry, a former top prospect within the Nationals, a top 10 prospect at one point within the Nationals farm system, had TOS surgery, came back, then ultimately did not, but 18 months removed, he is back now and full go in spring training. So we'll kind of discuss that because Bobby Blanco of Masson Sports wrote about him, and I think it's pretty interesting of what could be happening down the road. And then also, Major League Baseball, we've got a problem, a huge problem in all of baseball that we'll address in the second segment of today's show. We'll also have some notes from training camp just to kind of catch you up on what is going on down at West Palm Beach. But we're going to start off with talking about number 37 because if you don't know, he's got to show up by tomorrow if we're talking contractually. Because right now, he is not retired officially by the books. We all know he's never going to pitch again, but now he's got to show up tomorrow. So will he show up? What is this situation going to look like? Who is in the wrong? Who is in the right? What should be happening? Who should do what? We'll explain this after we tell you guys about our good friends over at FanDuel. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $150 in bonus bets for your first bet of $5 or more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So we're going to get started with today talking about Stephen Strasburg here because let's be honest, this is an ugly situation here. Former World Series MVP, or not former, he's a World Series MVP. The only World Series title that this Washington Nationals franchise has got. Former first-round pick, face of the franchise at one point. Stephen Strasburg, you know the name. You think of the 2019 World Series run and everything and all the good things that he has done for this organization. He then gets that massive contract extension after winning World Series MVP, deservingly so, got a big payday. And now we sit here today. Obviously, he's never going to pitch again. He has said that. He's acknowledged that. The Nationals have acknowledged that. But still, the Nationals and Stephen Strasburg, they are here at odds. They're at a crossroads, and there is no denying it, whichever way you look at it. So first and foremost, let's just kind of get this out of the way first. We've discussed this before, but let's get back into it yet again. Stephen Strasburg, he's not necessarily in the wrong here. The people who are in the wrong is coming from the National side of this thing. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This is not something that is, number one, normal, and number two, it's just a really bad look on this organization, the way that this has been handled. Back over the summer, you were announced that you're going to be given this retirement ceremony for Stephen Strasburg, probably announced at some point you're going to be retiring the number 37, and then all of a sudden, a day before, the day of, you ripped the carpet under from him and said, no, contractually speaking, we need you to show up to camp or try to take a little bit less money. We don't want to be on the hook for the rest of your contract, however much money that is owed off the top of your dome. We all know it's a lot of money, one of the highest paid pitchers in all of baseball, and he's not going to pitch a single inning left for the rest of his career. So now going forward with this, there's a lot of different things that you're going to have to consider now. Number one, who's wrong here? What's wrong is the Lerner family here, or the ownership, or whoever is sending these messages to Stephen Strasburg and his camp, because it's just not right the way that this has been handled from day one. It's simply just not right. And that's what we keep on coming back to. Because the thing with the Nationals is that they've always handled things relatively pretty well, in my opinion. I think the Nationals are a class organization. I've always believed in that. I think the way that Mike Rizzo runs things, it's all class. But in this situation right here, a franchise icon, someone that you're going to be retiring his number someday, and you're handling it the way in this situation that it's just such a terrible, ugly divorce that it's getting dragged out. And now it's all public and it's getting national news now. National pundits like The Athletic are carrying stories. Ken Rosenthal is discussing this on Fox Sports. MLB Network is discussing this daily on the TV and on radio and whatever else you look at. This is an awful look on the Nationals. It just is. But here's the thing. I can also say that, but also while speaking, if you want me to feel bad for Stephen Strasburg, that's not going to happen this show. I'm not going to sit here and say, listen, let me take the human element in this here for a second. Stephen Strasburg, I feel for the guy. This is his job to go out there and pitch, and obviously he wants to go out there and pitch. We all know that. He simply physically cannot. In that aspect of it, of course I feel bad. But if you're telling me this, that, yeah, it's a little bit petty to have him show up for spring training, but it's not like they're trying to have him show up to spring training to throw a bullpen. It's not like they're trying to have him go out there and try to see if he can throw a changeup or throw an eephus or be a knuckleball pitcher. No, that's not what they're doing. They want him to simply help out while he's still under his contract. Help out these young guys. Mold them in the way that they want to be. Because Stephen Strasburg, he knows this organization. He's been here with Mike Rizzo the entire time, the entire step of the way. He was one of the guys who got this organization back on the right track. Having Stephen Strasburg at least talk to some of the guys would not be a bad thing whatsoever. So now with this speaking, now that he is technically under contract, whether it's wrong or right, he is still under contract. He's got to show up at some point, and tomorrow is that deadline. I don't know what will happen if he does not show up, and if he doesn't, I'm assuming there'll be probably some sort of fine maybe. We'll just have to see where that goes, but Stephen Strasburg, here's the thing. I'm not going to feel bad for this guy. I'm not going to feel bad for this situation here saying, oh, he's got to show up to camp. Like, God, the Nationals stink. First and foremost, you all heard the thoughts of this, of what I think about this situation. It's a bad look in the Nationals, point blank. But I'm also not going to be throwing a pity party because Stephen Strasburg has to show up to West Palm Beach for a day and give some nice little tidbits and hints and kind of coach the other younger guys in this organization who will be taking on the next, hopefully, decade-long run of success here in Washington, D.C. You should do that. You are under contract to pitch with this team, not be a coach. I understand that. But since you can't pitch, why don't you show up? Why not? And if you do show up, it's not like you're going to have to go out there and be Jim Hickey 2.0. It's not what we're asking. But be the moral support in the room. Having 37 out there, Stephen Strasburg, the franchise legend, he knows what he means to this organization. Maybe the learners and whoever else is involved in that situation right now may have dampened that a little bit in his mind, but still, you're making millions of dollars, man. This is not an Anthony Rendon situation from the LA Angels. This is not that. But also, you're getting paid millions to play a game. Unfortunately, you can't play that game anymore, but you still have some role to an organization, especially an organization that has given you a lot. They've given you so much, and you've given this organization a lot as well. But at the end of the day, just show up. Even if it's just for a day, just do the thing that you're supposed to do. And unfortunately, in this situation, it is to show up. So to kind of wrap things up here and kind of get it in a bigger, more satisfactory picture, you could say, I'm not going to feel bad for Stephen Strasburg and the fact that the Nationals are making him show up. Obviously, there's something going on behind closed doors in which I think, me personally, is probably a bad look in this organization again because you're trying to get less money. This is the contract that you gave him. You're going to have to take the L. You did not put insurance on it. That's on the learners. That's on them, not on Stephen Strasburg. But since you're under contract, just show up to spring training. See what you can do. We know you can't pitch again, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be looking at you, and when I mean fans, and saying, this guy didn't give a crap about us. He didn't. But it's still, show up to spring training. It's not the end of the world. But again, to go back to this, because people are going to be, they may be a little salty about this opinion, but still, this is the Nationals mess up. This should not be happening right now. I can say that. But since it is happening, just show up to spring training, man. It's not the end of the world for you to go down to West Palm Beach, collect your millions. It'll be just fine. Stephen Strasburg will be watching. And certainly tomorrow on Saturday, February 24th, it's going to be very interesting to see if he were to show back up. We'll just have to see what happens. And of course, I'll have you covered here over on Locked On Nationals. Make sure to check us out over on YouTube. Search Locked On Nationals there. But now, Major League Baseball, we've got a massive, 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 massive mess up that you probably already know what I'm talking about. Hint, jerseys and pants. Oh my God. We'll discuss that after we tell you guys about our good friends over at Backblaze. And guys, I want to tell you guys about Backblaze because Backblaze makes backing up and accessing your data astonishingly easy. In today's world with all this computer, AI stuff, you need to have Backblaze because they have unlimited cloud backup for Macs, PCs, and businesses for just $99 a year. And you can easily protect business data through a centrally managed admin, protect all the data on your machines automatically with Backblaze. And when you do that, you can have 1 year of file retention and version history. And of course, you're going to store by mail with hard drive with all your data shipped to your door. Buy a hard drive restore, send the hard drive back within 30 days, and get a full refund. So visit backblaze.com/lockedonMLB so they know where you came from and continue to support the show. Recommended by the New York Times Magazine, Macworld, PC World, LifeWire, Wired Time, Tom's Guide, 9 to 5 Mac, and more. Receive a fully featured, no-risk free trial at backblaze.com/lockedonMLB. Go there, play with it, start protecting yourself from potential bad times. Start today. Again, backblaze.com/lockedonMLB. And next, Major League Baseball. Would you like to take a seat here? Rob Manfred, whoever is in charge of these jerseys, of the pants, of everything that has gone into this look, what are you doing? If you aren't aware just yet, you can check it out over on Twitter. I retweeted this yesterday. Masson, or Nationals Masson, whichever their Twitter ad is, tweeted out a picture of Hunter Harvey. And by the way, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You will notice something about these jerseys. They look different. I don't really care too much about jerseys. I'm not that big of a jersey guy. I like baseball jerseys. I have plenty of them. I have plenty of Nationals jerseys sitting in my closet over there. See, I've got a couple of hats here. I like hats. Major League Baseball has messed this up entirely. Not just for the Washington Nationals, but overall in Major League Baseball. Yesterday was day one of spring training. Your first game, you got the Padres and you got the Dodgers on ESPN. Within the first few minutes, there was a photo going viral of the Padres first base coach bending over, and you could see a lot of junk that you did not want to see because the pants are see-through. This is not just the first issue, by the way. A few days ago, a San Francisco Giants player taking his just photo shoot for the season. For the season, a photo shoot. The one that you will see on the scoreboard over at AT&T Park or Oracle Park, whatever it's called now. The same headshot that you're going to see when they visit Washington National, the Nationals Park. The same headshot that you're going to see when MLB The Show shows that player up on the TV. These headshots, the official headshots, you see through. And in this one particular case with this Giants player, his legs were wide open, and you see a lot more than what you really want to see here. Hint, it's not pretty. What are we doing? This is a major league organization sponsored by Nike, partnered with Fanatics now. And they're going to be processing these jerseys, in which, by the way, the style of them are hideous that we'll discuss later on. But right now, let's just talk about the see-through stuff. The big overwhelming picture of this, some people may not really care about this. I do. This is an awful look on Major League Baseball. Think of it this way. Has there been any issue in any other professional sports league, let alone not even professional? What about the high school level where you have see-through pants? I played high school sports. I never had see-through pants. This is professional baseball, man. This is the pros. You have see-through pants. What are you doing? What is this mess? How did someone go through this process over the offseason or however many months it's taken to come up with these pants and jerseys and all these different logos and all the different things that have gone into these new uniforms? Who was the one that checked off these pants? Because I don't like calling for people's firings. I don't think anyone should be fired, but I'm not going to call for this person's firing, but someone's got to check up on whoever is in charge of this process. Is it Rob Manfred? Sure. We'll just blame Rob Manfred for now, even though I'm sure that's probably below his pay grade. But I know this, something has got to change. Because yesterday when you're watching baseball on your TV, you're seeing all these see-through pants. You're seeing jerseys and the way that they are tucked in looking all wacky. Again, this is a professional organization worth billions and billions of dollars, a game that has been around for 100 plus years. Babe Ruth, I bet you didn't have see-through pants back in the 1920s. Ted Williams, bet you didn't have see-through pants. Hank Aaron back in the day, that he didn't have see-through pants. But in the year of 2024, with technology as advanced as it is, you have see-through pants. What are you doing? And then on top of that, the jerseys. Some of these jerseys are awful. When that first came out about 2 weeks ago, I believe one of the beat reporters up in Seattle had a jersey of the Seattle Mariners from last year that they were selling at the team store compared to this year. And at that point, I was like, wow, that's got to be a mess up or some sort. Maybe it's just the Mariners. No. These jerseys are across baseball in all 30 markets. All 30 markets, all 30 teams have the same jersey now, in which you've noticed this. The back last name lettering, they're different. The numbers on the back are a little different as well. There's a little smaller, a little more clunky. And also, yesterday with Hunter Harvey, and again, check this out over on Twitter at RyanClary11. You can see the picture for yourself. His name is all sorts of messed up. It's not that they spelled it wrong, but you can notice this. The Harvey, Harvey, the H and the A are like weirdly spaced out in a way that kind of makes it curvy in the back of your neck. It's a weird jersey. It's a weird thing. But I can tell you this, it's not normal looking. This is not something that you're going to be going in the team shop and saying, I want that jersey. It looks good. It looks terrible. It looks awful, in fact. Major League Baseball, I know this is a little bit of a joke segment on a Friday in February, but still, Major League Baseball has got a major issue brewing here. They got to figure out something to do with these jerseys because, again, this is just bad. It is a bad look on baseball. It is a bad look on Rob Manfred. It's a bad look on Nike. And ultimately, it just really waters down your product that you're not talking about spring training right now. We're not talking about the way that the Dodgers scored 8 runs in their first inning of Major League Baseball in 2024. We're not talking about the game yesterday. We're not talking about all the different headlines coming out of spring training so far. You're not talking about the free agents that is still yet to sign. We're talking about jerseys and see-through pants because they are that bad. Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, all the big-time reporters have acknowledged how poor they all look, and it is just hideous at this point. Something has got to change. I don't know what that change is going to be. You got a short amount of time to try to fix this issue. I think they probably will, but we'll start with see-through pants. Get rid of those instantaneously and then move on to the jerseys and ultimately just fix the entire thing because it is a complete joke what has gone on with Major League Baseball and these jerseys. And again, I'm not a big jersey guy, but something's got to happen. When push comes to shove, you got to have a good product. You got to look good to feel good in order to play good. That's how I feel about it. Next, let's get into Cole Henry, 2020 second round pick at LSU. Pretty damn good pitcher. If you look at his numbers in the past, again, some of the best numbers in the Nationals farm system over the last few years when he is healthy, which is a big win, but he is now 100% ready to go for spring training. He is all good. So we're going to get into what could be happening for Cole Henry as he ramps up from TOS surgery. And Bobby Blanco from Masson Sports wrote about this. We'll discuss it after I tell you guys about our good friends over at FanDuel. And guys, get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. And you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. For example, if the Wizards, last night you saw them, you got to bet against the Wizards, man. Jordan Poole's on the bench. You're going to have to take the under for the points going forward. And also Denny Avdia. He's been hot lately. Maybe you take the over on his points, but you can do all of this with our friends at FanDuel. When you visit FanDuel, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Now let's get into Cole Henry, the second round pick back in 2020 at LSU, right-handed pitcher, has had some really good seasons there. He is now 24 years old, recovering from TOS surgery, the same surgery that Stephen Strasburg had that has ultimately ended his career here in Washington, D.C. and as a major league pitcher as a whole. But Cole Henry, he's now 100% ready to go since being out for, really, he had this surgery in August of 2022. This is going to be a tricky situation because, again, Cole Henry, I don't really know what to make of him just yet. I haven't seen him pitch in forever from what it feels like. And Cole Henry, again, he's got some really good stuff. This is someone who, again, if he was healthy, this guy would not only be up in the major leagues, but he would be an effective middle-of-the-rotation starter, in my opinion. He gave some good quotes to Bobby Blanco the other day, and he said, as of right now, I'm feeling really good. This is the first offseason I've been able to really work on just strengthening and perfecting the craft a little bit mechanics-wise and stuff like that and not worry about having to rehab. Just make sure I'm going to throw by the time spring training comes around, so it's very productive as far as that stuff goes. I just had to tweak a couple things trying to get back to the way I was before as far as my mechanics and stuff, pitch shapes, different things like that. Majority of the offseason was working on just trying to get stronger, trying to get more durable, and just overall focus on just building strength and getting ready for a long season. If Cole Henry were to really bounce back this year, this would be a big addition to the Nationals. Now, I will say this, just from the injuries and stuff and the arm fatigue, I'm sure, that has happened with Cole Henry, I think it's a little bit of a stretch to say that this guy is going to be a middle-of-the-rotation starter. I think it's a pretty big stretch at this point, just because of the arm fatigue, all the different things. But Cole Henry's got the stuff to be a nasty reliever someday. I'm not saying that's what he's going to be. I'm not saying that he certainly can't be a starter someday, but Cole Henry's got the stuff. If you guys remember his strikeout rate down in the bigs, or down in the minors rather, he would have worked his way up to the big leagues relatively quickly. I bet you would have seen him up in the bigs easily last year, maybe even the end of 2022, the way that he was pitching, if he was healthy. Now, that is the big if with Cole Henry. Obviously, with TOS surgery, we've all figured this out. It's a really tough injury to kind of bounce back from. It's a nerve issue. You've seen it with Stephen Strasburg. It's not a fun one. It has a lot of wear and tear on your body. Getting a rib removed for Cole Henry, there's a lot of different things out there that kind of go into this factor. But Cole Henry, there's a lot of good things about this guy. He could be a solid starter if everything were to go perfectly. But in my opinion, at some point, you'll see him up in the bigs if he is a full go like he says he is. And if he's healthy, if he doesn't have any setbacks, you could see him up in the majors at some point this season, maybe as a starter, but most likely as a bullpen option at this point. And I think it could be an effective one and hopefully have a pretty long career here in Washington, D.C. Because, again, the Nationals, they put a lot of eggs in that Cole Henry basket. This guy's got a lot of talent. He could be an effective pitcher if he stays healthy. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, it is Stephen Strasburg watch time. Will he show up to camp? We'll just have to see moving forward. But of course, I'll catch you guys on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy some spring training baseball. I'll catch you tomorrow, or I'll catch you on Friday or on Monday. Jeez, Fridays, man. I'll catch you on Monday. We'll talk about the Nats' first spring training game and much, much more. But of course, Stephen Strasburg, will he show up? We'll have to see. Catch you on the flip side.